Welcome to the OVFL podcast, guys. My name is Behar, as always. Today, I'm joined with Richard Karikari, the new owner of the Durham Dolphins. Changing the name up a little bit. Here today to tell us some insight on the program, what the goings-ons are, and how we're going to turn this into a powerhouse in the future. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. All right, so jumping right into it, what made you make the decision to go ahead and take the leap of faith and buy the program?
Just doing something a little different. Obviously, there's private owners right now in minor football across Canada, so that's nothing new. But it's just my involvement with football over the last 15 years. Running a football camp, had hundreds of kids come to that, and being around these kids for a long time. Just want to make sure that football continues to be played at the minor level. Obviously, with the numbers to drop in terms of concussions and all the other factors, I wanted to make sure again that we had a sustainable club. And obviously, with the increased population in my area, I wanted more kids to be aware of the football that's being played.
Okay, so what is your role then going forward? Are you doing any coaching as well, or are you just the administrative stuff?
Right now, just owner. One thing is minor sports, unfortunately, is a business. Just like pro sports is. You do have to have people at the top who are making financial decisions. That help the club continue to grow, and as well as the volunteers and the parents to help keep it sustainable. But my role is going to be for sure is be an owner. Run it like a business similar to my business I have right now. It's a performance center, and and hopefully everything turns out well for moving forward.
All right, that sounds great to hear. So I think you touched on it a little bit there. I got to ask the question. It's a good one to ask. Why get involved? What's the real purpose behind it?
Something. I have two kids. I have two boys. One's 2, one's 6 months now. If I'm going to make a change in football and do things that I feel ultimately are going to be, I would say a trend moving forward, I can't do it when they're ready to play. I want to do it now, set the infrastructure up, and if they're interested in playing football, at least they're in a situation where they're getting the top quality football within a good program. Right now we see a big rush of everybody going to the U.S. or prep schools because they are stable. They're providing the kids exposure, and at the end of the day, that's what the kids want. So for me, if I can set an infrastructure up right now for 5 to 7 year plan to kind of change things, you never know. 7 years from now, OVFL could be connected with the New York State in terms of minor football. We have no idea how the future can change for us. So it's just again setting the foundation and being involved from the early stage rather than the late.
Hey, that's good to hear. All the guys here at House Edge, I think we're aligned in the same sort of thought process where minor football needs to be more supported and it needs to be grown and needs to be developed and nurtured. So that's really good right there. More specifically than I guess with Durham, what are kind of your thoughts? How are you going to turn a team that perennially has talent, has good coaching, but it isn't always the most competitive or doesn't always press the Myers or the Cumberlands for dominance? What are your plans in the future to kind of grow that competitive edge?
You just touched on it. You said coaching. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where these kids come from. It could be Pickering, Oshawa, Kingston, obviously Ottawa. Coaching is 100% what makes a huge difference in a lot of these kids' lives. It's in soccer right now. You see a lot of private soccer clubs with great coaching, and those kids are getting scholarships. So in hockey, same thing. Great coaching, these kids are getting drafted to the OHL. So really, what it comes down to is coaching. We see it in the Olympics. Why do we don't win in certain events? Because again, we lose to the U.S. because their infrastructure and coaching. So I'm going to be providing the infrastructure for the club. So my next thing is making sure I bring in the best coaches. I had my coaching meeting last week with the coaches we've selected up to this point, and I gave a good story about if you really look at, let's say, Ohio State, from that team that just won the national championship, probably less than 2% of those guys will play in the NFL. That means there's 98% of those guys going back to their to their local cities, their hometowns, and they're going to hopefully volunteer with their minor clubs. Look at the knowledge that they're going to go back with, playing under one of the best coaches in college football. Right. So not disrespecting any of the volunteers that have helped the kids up to this point. We just have to look at what are we doing for our minor football kids right now as coaches. Are we upgrading our knowledge all the time? And if so, is that balance across the whole, Ontario, minor football? And the answer is probably no, right? So, for me, my whole thing is bringing in best coaches, who wants to coach and ultimately wants to get the kids developed, not just about wins and losses. And, again, the better coaching becomes better talent. Better talent gets better exposure. Better exposure. At the end of the day, hopefully, we have that 2% going to the U.S. consistently.
All right, so you're saying we got to put more onus on the Volunteers, on the older, I guess, generation that's nurturing these younger guys to really improve the level of football being played across the board.
Exactly. And something that's already started. Montreal Alouettes, I know, and other CFL clubs, and, CFC has done a great job organizing the coaching conferences. So there's, or Canada Football Chat, yeah, CFC. So a lot of people are putting the emphasis back onto coaching. And I think you ultimately see through the product of what we get right now with, I think there was 18 U.S. scholarships and countless amount of guys going to CIS being recruited, aggressively. You're starting to see now what's happening when good coaching comes in. When I played, 18 years ago, I had coaching, but I wouldn't say it's the same coaching quality as what it is right now.
Absolutely. I mean, even in those international bowls, I know you got a couple guys in your teams that went down, Team Flex and stuff like that. You see these guys competing with Division I athletes who are getting their scholarships, and they're beating them at times.
Exactly. It's the same talents on both sides of the board. We just have to always remember that the population is obviously 10 times more than ours, and the amount of kids that play football here is comparable to one state there, right? So, competition is fierce.
And I mean, I guess you'd know more than anybody playing with the Alouettes and going against the American guys in practices and stuff like that in games. So
exactly.
All right, Coach. Then I guess a little more. Let's direct it even deeper into Durham. Do you got any insight on players? I know registration isn't totally done for most teams. OVFL, we're still waiting. Do you got any insight on what the teams are going to look like from Bantam, JV, or varsity?
Last year's Adam team did pretty well. I think they went 6-2-1, and I made a lot of those kids moved up to Pee Wee, so I'm excited about that. Those kids were on the big roster there, probably plus 45, which is again really good for that age group. Our Bantams this year are going to be pretty competitive. Last year they went 5-3 and lost in the quarterfinals against Ottawa. So I'm excited about the talent there. There's about good 6-7 studs on that team who, again, with proper coaching, can continue to grow within the program. Our juniors and senior for sure are going to be the spotlights on them. We stack the coaching staffs with all experienced coaches, and the junior team for sure. We put in a couple of guys who used to coach in the club. Tommy Dennison now is the offensive coordinator with the Durham Dolphins, and defensive coordinator is Bert Smith. So we took Bert from the senior head coaching position to put him as DC because we want those kids at the defensive side to get the best coaching they can, and putting Bert and Tommy in those positions as coordinators is going to help them. And there's a lot of athletes. We already know that Bantam team moving up to junior, there was a lot of athletes that move up with them. And then the senior team, last year we had 26 guys on the roster, and surprisingly this year we have, confirmed over 60 kids. So the luxury of us, we have about 7 kids who are in prep schools, and I have commits from 5 of them that they're going to play this summer, right? So that to me, when I got an email, in the last 2 weeks saying, hey, coach, I'm back this summer, even though my prep school will be done in May, but I want to play, that just told me that the change in direction is already working, and these guys want to, go out with the championship. So that roster and that senior team could be very dangerous if they all work together and finish strong.
So it sounds like a real culture change has already started. I mean, that sounds like it's definitely an upswing going on in Durham.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any info on coaching staff for that senior team?
So the senior team, we brought in a brand new staff. We brought in Bernie DeFore. He used to coach Mississauga, run an OVFL championship as OCO in Mississauga, coach of Brampton. So we brought him in from the West End. He's the type of coach that fits these type of kids. These kids are pretty athletic, obviously, as you mentioned, but for me, Bernie's a calm coach and with a lot of experience, and that's what they needed at that position, or that level, sorry. And our OC there is Ray and Warren Goldie. So Warren Goldie is the old, used to coach with Kingston Grenadiers, and Yusuf before that, obviously, was the OC of Queen's University. So again, bringing in that experience, that's what we really wanted. And he's just joined our staff over the last 2 weeks, and it's already, you can see a big culture change there. Defensive side, we brought in Niama Dukwashi, coach with Metro Wildcats, and Chaminade High School, in Toronto, who won the Metro Bowl this year. Again, this is a guy that I've known for a long time. He, again, coaches a lot of athletic kids, and basically he's leaping one athletic round to another. And his staff is a bunch of guys that he knows that have also had a lot of experience, if not CFL, collegiate experience, and he's bringing them over to our side. So our senior staff by far is the least known to the Dolphin public, but the most known to the league. So we're excited about that.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, that's a lot of insight. You raised a lot of good points. Do you think so that this is a year we can look for the JV and varsity teams to make that push?
For sure. The JVs, varsities, like I said, big things we're expecting from them. But again, our Bantams and our PVs by far are going to be the charge in the club moving forward. So we're excited to see all 4 teams plus the Adams go compete this year for a championship. Well,
we're excited to see the resurgence of the OVFL East. Look for some new faces to push through and get to the finals. Thank you for joining us today. I mean, that was great. You helped us out a lot, and good luck in the future, Coach.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me on.
Take it easy.